Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're back on the updates 1.89 dev server and it's time to have a look at the Hunter F.6. This is going to be one of the new top tier vehicles that Britain is getting in updates 1.89. I think it's a nice vehicle that a lot of people have been looking forward to for a long time, mainly because of its beauty and also because it will give Britain another vehicle that is semi-competitive at top tier that will be fun to play. So, if you want to know where it is in the tree, it is after the Hunter F1, of course, since this is the technically upgraded version of it, and it makes sense to put there. If we have a look at the X-ray of this machine, what you'll find is that it has the Rolls-Royce Avon Mark 203 jet engine, 4200 kgf, with a mass which is just less than 1200 kilograms. It also has some fuel tanks in the center of the machine, and also in the wings themselves. And that's pretty much it when it comes to its general basic look. The addition of the SRAMs compared to the other jets is definitely something to think about, but everything else is very much bog standard when it comes to a lot of other jets. It does have access to the Radeon cannons. It has 4 of the 30mm in the nose, 600 rounds, so that should easily be enough to deal with many of the planes or many of the fights that you have to deal with in War Thunder. And also, as well, it just has a nice little area for the pilot on the front, making sure that his legs don't get burnt off by the Radeons. The Bulletproof Glass is 64mm, which should be good enough to stop the majority of shells, and if you feel like head-onning stuff, then, you know, you're able to survive, at least your pilot, and 13mm behind to keep him safe from being shot while your engine is being killed. The modifications are interesting. So one of the big selling points of these higher tier vehicles, especially when it comes to jets, is the air-to-air missile capability. But for some reason, they make the air-to-air missile capability some of the hardest to get to. So you can see here that the Hunter F.6 does have access to 4 SRAMs, which is great, but it's a rank 4 modification, and you have to go through the bombs first to get them. I would be personally happier if this arrow did not exist, because I don't see the logical, the logical progression from a 1,000-pound bomb to an SRAM. I understand that they're secondary weapons, don't get me wrong, but that's the only thing. But in context of how to use them, these are 2 completely different parts, secondary weapons. So as I said, 2 500s or 2 1000s. These, I suppose, you could use for grinding out the vehicle and getting the modifications, but at the end of the day, this is going to be used as an out-and-out fighter. Now, it is not a supersonic fighter. This is, as you can see, the max speed is just less than 1200 kilometers an hour or 1150 kilometers an hour. So the idea that this is supersonic and will be able to deal with supersonic vehicles is, well, it's not a stretch because it is at 9.7. It should be able to deal with a lot of them, but just understand they are going to have the advantage in the speed every time, and it's going to be incredibly infuriating, just like it was using the normal Hunter against these vehicles. But what we're going to do is test out the SRAMs and also kind of show you a little bit about this vehicle. Oh, by the way, when it comes to 30mm, I like running air targets just because I'm never going to ground pound in this with the Radeons, but the Radeons can actually kill mediums and light tanks, so if you're on maps like Korea, you can clean up columns of tanks with the ground targets belts from the Radeons. So make sure, if you are looking to do that, maybe you're grinding out the vehicle, make sure to do that properly in that way. And I'm not sure why it's setting me up against Focke-Wulfs. That's not very kind of it, is it? Let's try something slightly different. God, not Hortons. Let's just try the Sturmvogel, so some of you can see the Sturmvogel for the first time. Probably a lot of you have heard about it. The ME-262A2A is a ME-262 which only has access to 230s and has access to bombs. It was a gift vehicle back in the day. Oh dear, are we all falling out the air? Nope, we're good, okay, we're great, okay, Are we all alright? Hello? What the hell is going on? They're all upside down. Okay, well, I'm going to take on the Luftwaffe by myself. Anyway, this thing doesn't have access to more than 100% thrust, which is fine. It does get access to a very simple but beautiful cockpit. You know, there's a lot of contrast here, a lot of yellow, a lot of black, a lot of very clear dials, and all of this makes tech a happy bunny. I like the idea that the things that need to stand out do stand out, and the things that don't need to stand out, such as, you know, the instruments, you know, they're a secondary factor. Anyway, let's have a look. The roll rate in general is pretty good for the Hunter. The main thing that the Hunter used to be good at was the high-speed maneuverability of it. It still has that, you know, it still is an incredibly maneuverable, you know, fast machine. The problem is nowadays you have faster machines in the game, so you can't just, you know, run away. Be able to set up a position like we have here on the ME-262s and come down on them in an aggressive fashion and be able to take them out like that. That's pretty much what the Hunter used to be able to do, the F1, and I'm sure the this machine here, the upgraded Hunter, or I should say the Hunter which is most well known for its design, my guess is that's how people are going to try and play it, and I'm not sure it's going to go so well. So let's test out these. I mean, this is a horrible way to go in, so we're not going to do that. I'm just going to make sure that, you know, we actually hit a target here instead of miss one. But the elevator works extremely well. The roll rate as well around these speeds is also great. The feeling of this Hunter is so much better than the other one in terms of touchy. The rudder might be a little bit too responsive, but it's still wonderful, you know. It feels so much better. Like I've just got finished playing the Mauler, right? And the Mauler is a really stiff aircraft. It feels stiff, and it's nice to have one which doesn't feel stiff. It actually feels like it wants to go where you want it to go, and that is how I would say this Hunter feels right now, at least in the game. The speed, it's keeping up well. The acceleration is good. Obviously that engine is incredibly powerful. I just wish it didn't have these bumps. I understand why it has them, right? I understand why they exist. If you can probably work out why they exist if you have a look here. There's also the bump at the back, which is this one right here, which just it just looks like it shouldn't be there. But if you want to have a look at the air brake, that is where the air brake is. So you have a big flap on the back, and that just slows you down as you want it to. So that's how that all works. And let's just see. The problem is none of my fighters have actually engaged. So I'm just kind of out here by myself, and hopefully, you know, hopefully one of them engages so I can set up a kill. Because if they don't, then these guys are just going to keep trying to circle me and kill me and nobody else. You can see the general speed of this thing. You know, it can go to very high speeds. One of the great things about the Radeons is the good muzzle velocity on them. Very high muzzle velocity. So all you have to do is kind of aim at least strictly in the direction. There is enough cannon ammo here, and I would say I'm not a jet player. You know, I never have been, but there's easily enough ammo here for even me to clean up, you know, 3 or 4 kills. So there's plenty of stuff available. Right, so we're gonna try and target this one. We're coming in at a horrible angle, so let's just fill in full of lead, or at least try to. Let's turn that off. Let's try and get behind one of them, even if we have to use our air brake. Ooh. So it's pulling 10 Gs without really even thinking, which is good. It's great to hear from somebody who does, you know, I enjoy British jets. And I'm mainly more of a Meteor player, because I think it's really fun making people overshoot and kind of crushing their dreams, which is how I personally play the Meteor. Because it's not the fastest machine in the book, right? So you've got to find ways around it. Alright, 108. Oh my, that's a bendy boy. Oh, beautiful! So one of the things that was talked about with these missiles is that they're not the fastest, and you know they don't have a huge range. I believe it was 2 kilometers before they start blowing up, but incredibly maneuverable. So once a target is locked on, you should have an easy time being able to take them out. So as long as it's not perpendicular, or as long as it's not, you know, craziness. You saw there that the missile did turn a lot in flight, which is wonderful to see. You know, that's exactly what you want to see as somebody who maybe a hunter pilot who has got really sick of you know, other nations getting something that you don't have, right? And you can see that that is the limit though of this idea. It's the fact that let's just turn that off. It's the limit to the fact that it only goes 2 kilometers. So you are going to only really have a brief window in order to do this, and for it to be effective. But I think a lot of people will much prefer this over what the Javelin offers. So there we go. There's one away. See if it can hit. Nope. It went away, didn't feel like it. So this guy's turning quite aggressively, and you can see how far that turned to hit him. So these are going to be much more close-range missiles compared to the rest, and I think that definitely gives a different playstyle, especially since, for me, this plane is going to be much more of a defensive plane, because of the fact that you will have people who are much faster and will have much more acceleration than you. So I like that. I like that it offers a different playstyle. I like the fact that the Javelin offers a slightly different playstyle. It might not be the best vehicle around, but what it offers is something different. And for me, when we look at other trees, which aren't supposed to be as competitive as others, even though we'd all love them to all be competitive, we can also agree that's never going to be the case, especially at certain times in history, then it is interesting to have slight quirks to each tree to make it a bit more interesting. I know a lot of people are going to look at this and think, you know, it's not supersonic, it's not going to be able to keep up with the 10.0s, because it's a 9.7, at least on the dev server right now. I would put it down to 9.3 personally. It's going to face a lot of 10.0s, and it's just going to get bullied out the air. You know, the G91YS exists. I think a pilot who is good at getting jets to overshoot will have an absolute field day in this machine. And I do think there's a lot of pilots out there who are good at that, and I hope they come back to the British tree and you know, play that out. At the same time, it seems like only one of my flaps has decided to come down. There's been a lot of weird bugs on this dev server, I'll definitely give it that. And I'm hoping that that is a bug, because otherwise, you know, it's just another one of those weird quirks. But I am 100% sure, you know, that is a bug, that it's not coming down. But anyway, that is the Hunter F.6, the iconic Hunter of the family, finally making its way into War Thunder. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank B. Young, Blackie, Daniel Stanton, John Ryman, Martinez, Matity, Moxie, Nito, Nick Graham, Alobralo, Sebastian Corona, Super Cacti, and Elove Goats and Seductive Trashcan for supporting the channel.